So imagine if Illidan really was the betrayer that they named him and he legit just joined the Legion, and because of that, Sargeras managed to actually just finish his Burning Crusade and just see it through the end. Well, that seems to actually be happening in the new content in 10.1.5. Even more interestingly, we have an old man variant that never fell against the Legion, that has chainsaws for arms akin to a cyborg, and he leads the Great Glorious Alliance in an Azeroth that was just completely destroyed with faction conflict. We have a new model of young Jaina, we have Dalian Proudmoore, Kultiras, and a bunch of magical problems that we're going to be seeing as a part of this new patch. While we learned about the time rifts and the new events more than a month ago, we have actually datamined a bunch of new information which confirms what these universes actually are, and we know more of what is happening, and finally the actual context is here. So what is really going on? So if you guys are looking to simplify playing WoW as much as possible, this video sponsor, Zygor, is the ultimate solution. It shows you how to level, where to go with really convenient waypoint arrows, it shows you how to make gold, helps with professions, achievements, and pretty much all the endgame content, and it is constantly kept up to date with every single patch. Best of all, you can try it completely free with my link below, and if you do decide to purchase it for a low monthly fee, you can get 20% off with my code DORON, so check out Zygor, guys. You have definitely heard about the time rifts recently, but it looks like these are not just going to be time rifts, these events, and we have datamined yet again new information for what is happening. We have some dailies that involve some really interesting events. We of course have the Mega Dungeon, which I feel like really is the main setup for the main storyline of Dragonflight and Irenicon, and of course, we have the time rifts, which are like these world events of alternate universes invading ours, and we have to go there and put an end to them. At the moment, not all the data mined NPCs from a month ago have been shown, but most have, and we even have Bronze Dragon narration, like actual official narration that talks about what these alternate universes are, so we no longer really have to speculate what is going on. Now, there is a timeless battlefield in the Mega Dungeon involving Grom and Anduin Lothar and a bunch of Horde and Alliance, most likely First War related, but there is actually a time rift that involves a place called the Vorlands that we knew a little bit about previously, but now we have a bunch more information on what is really going on. It is unclear if these mini-boss fights are all there is to these, and most likely they aren't, but we have a map of two ships, so one Horde ship, one Alliance ship, and this is a universe where Azeroth just turned into a complete wasteland due to the faction war. Probably may even be the reason why we're fighting on ships, because the ground is probably just too volatile to step on based on what the Alliance and the Horde did. The official description says this about Vorlands: this Timeway never saw an occasion for two to come together, so they ripped the planet apart with ceaseless war. Interestingly enough, the factions are called the Blood Horde and the Great Glorious Alliance, which is probably like some future iteration, like 3 steps ahead of Alliance of Lordaeron or Trolls Horde. Now, what we have datamined as well is super interesting too. This is essentially a universe where no one, absolutely no one, decided to drop the ball. There was no mediating Jaina or Troll or Anduin or even Varian and his hot-headedness having a breeder. This is like if Sylvanas and Garrosh had a demon child and Varian just went completely insane and they just kept battling each other. All the Alliance is essentially based on the Scarlet Crusade. They're all Inquisitors, Interrogators, Fanatics. The Blood Horde pretty much embraced Sylvanas' warfare, but even managed to up that, so they're all smokers, bombers, wearing gas masks, and this is a horde not based on peace and cooperation, it is a horde based on plague and toxic warfare. Now, what is really interesting is that the boss of this Vorlands instance is actually Varian Vryn, and he not only managed to survive the Burning Legion invasion, but he is really old. He has an orc skull on his belt, he has like these chainsaws instead of his arms, although I wouldn't say he replaced his arms, these are more like just weapons, and most interestingly, he has an eye patch. Now, a super intriguing theory that has been going around was that all the Alliance characters have eye patches as well, which kinda goes to show that they may have all gotten so fanatical that they ripped out their eye and just wore an eye patch just so they can resemble their leader, as after all, they are the Great Glorious Alliance. However, an interesting counterpoint is that all Horde characters are also wearing eye patches, which doesn't really make all that much sense. It would make sense for Blizzard to show this as like Scouts of War, but literally every data mined NPC has it, so either this was some battle that they all just decided to blind each other proportionally, or Blizzard decided to reference that medieval Byzantine battle, which I obviously doubt. However, overall this is a really crazy universe, and it just goes to show how a few of those decisions that people doubted, like Varian deciding to not take over Orgrimmar, played a pretty significant role in the faction piece that we have today. Now, the second reality, and we have acquired even more information about it that I think is even more interesting, is Azrat, and now there is finally more stuff that we have determined and we know what this world is about. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't really seem to be all there is to it, because we know Tyrande and Malfurion are supposed to be a part of it too in their War of the Ancients versions, and there is even some sort of a map of Suramar that was data mined as well, but the little bit that we had seen, at least we know what it is about and what is the actual contest. So, the place is called Azrat. The map we're going to go to seems to be the Tome of Sargeras, and in this universe, the Burning Legion managed to not only win the War of the Ancients, but based on other info, their entire crusade was just completely successful. They saw it throughout the end. The Bronze Dragons officially say this: demons corrupt this realm to its core. Sargeras saw his crusade of annihilation through to the end. It is vital to close this rift. Personally, I find it a little bit weird, since if Sargeras really saw his crusade through, he would probably just destroy the entire universe, as that was what his original goal was, or at least I imagine some type of an explosion that would just remake everything anew, or in his deranged logic, his destruction meant just leaving planets as shells of themselves, which could also be a possibility, and we are seeing that possibility. However, interesting enough, the boss for this instance is Illidan himself, and he is in his demonic form, and he's called the Betrayer of Kalimdor. Keep in mind, Kalimdor back then was the mega continent, not the current continent that it is, just to make more context. Now, of course, Illidan is already known as the Betrayer because he sided with the Legion, sort of, later returned back to the Night Elves, but my thoughts are based on his metamorphosis form, the fact that you're fighting him, and the fact that there is no other side. In this universe, he probably just decided to side with the Legion and just remained as an agent of the Legion. I'm guessing this might be to show how important he really was and how his betrayal ultimately saved Azeroth. Here, the betrayal really was a betrayal, and Azeroth is no more. From what we can understand, the entire planet was sundered. I'm guessing Sargeras also destroyed the World Soul as well. We are still waiting for more info on what else there is to this world, but at least we know that we will be fighting demonic Illidan in this cursed timeline. Now, previously we have also data mined young Jaina, and no one could really connect the dots on what this would really have to do with anything, like why young Jaina. Most of us thought this would be related to the Orc and the Human War, as that is when she was young, but it turns out this is literally just a simple daily quest that shows us another reality. In this reality, young Jaina got her magic wand way earlier than she should have, and we even see Daelin Proudmoore. She seems to have turned a bunch of Kul Tiran gods into sheep, and we have to stop her from doing that. There doesn't seem to be some sort of a significant main storyline to this, and I'm guessing a bunch of other NPCs we have seen, because we really data mined a bunch of them, even young Vol'jin, are going to be a part of just these fun daily quests that are not really related to these alternate timelines or the main storyline of Dragonflight. However, aside from this side content, I think really a lot of these are just distractions, and a few universes like the old God-controlled one, possibly even the Legion one, are going to actually play a role in the future, especially the Mega Dungeon, as this seems to be the main goal, like why Iridikron traveled there, so that he can gather the essence of Galakrond and bring it back to us and use it against us. If you want more info on this theory, check out the previous video I did covering this entire Mega Dungeon storyline and the very likely return of Galakrond through Iridikron. Thank you for watching. Check out Azcront and how the old gods took control over Azeroth by clicking on the screen, and check out Donald's Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time!